about the insurance company,
And
right?
Marshall, you want to increase the debt, though, correct? But you want to increase it slower, because that's what you're saying.
I mean, if you're paying me down to something, yes, but for a totally different reason that you actually saying. My little brother was responsible for something called the Mill and Gas reauthorization, which, if you're a candidate listening, get familiar with it. You may ask questions about it, the knowledge will probably benefit you over, right? But he had to do the reauthorization of the National Electrographic and Atmospheric Service. And they had a couple of problems involved. One, they bought Dell computers. The Dell computers were, essentially obsolete in a year or 2 years, and then the government would buy more Dell computers. Well, in the law he wrote, they had computing space, and then these computers, they get the newest version of the federal government updated. He then took the two G1s they had to take score measurements, and what was always in the shop, so it always cost the federal government more money. So they kept one and then leased one. Bought a predator with the excess to go in and take storm measurements inside of 20 other hurricanes and shit. And then we're able to take the weather predicting system, partition at James universities. Anyway, that bit of detail is supposed to know that he ended up saving several $1 billion. That, on a staff level, that's what I would want it to look like. If what you're suggesting is that to the public it is rah-rah cuts, when it gets to the government, it is, okay, how do we do this in a way that makes sense? I'm on board with you. It's always, to me, sounded like you want to take a machete to the right arm, and then you're going to be surprised when the patient will be down. Right? Something has got to give with all of that funding. And people, at least post New Deal, they are not as opposed to bureaucracy as the Republican Party itself is. I mean, one thing you embody very well, actually, is the disliking of the bureaucratic state. That's a constant Republican view. But the fact that we're running up against people that have long bureaucracy, that detail counts. It matters. And I think when it's not taken into consideration, you end up in a bad place. Again, it's not to say I don't want to cut government programs. It's just I think that's the responsible way to do it. I think just hacking the patient's arm off is wasteful of taxpayer dollars and bad governance. I doubt that you yourself intend for bad governance. I'm just telling you that's kind of how it hits me. I get it, in your mind, you gotta take the arm to save the patient. I understand that. I'm not on board with taking the whole arm, man. And I don't think I ever will be. I think it needs to look like I described. Because it's considered, thought out, it takes into account the actual money we spend instead of just unplugging shit willy-nilly. But I understand I'm going to convince you so. I mean, I'm willing to mine and you're willing to yours.
Yeah, how do we... The debt continues to increase. It's what's our end game? You know what I'm saying? If we just keep spending unlimitedly, is unlimitedly a word? Fuck, my brain's so fried from that conversation with Mark. Goddamn. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. People work. Countries that run out of their banking systems and they collapse because of debt consideration, they can morph into loose regional territories, or it could be all out disintegration. Probably in the United States, if that ever happened, it would be regional. But that's debt apocalypse, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's essentially your point. Your point's debt apocalypse, and you don't want it.
Yeah, it's we have to, because it feels like the way that our government is operating, and of course, government is not nebulous, but it's a collective entity. It's unfeeling. There's a bunch of people with different agendas doing different things, and it seems like what we're doing is just continuously growing this debt, and the solutions being proposed. Some of these problems